All right. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Hopefully, everyone had a good night's sleep and ready for Friday. Today's the last day for the market. And we do have some pretty interesting plays today, actually. So let's dive into these real quick. First up, can everyone hear me? Hello. Hello. Everyone. Hello. Yep. Okay. Perfect. All right. All right, the first one up on my list is Neuro. So Neuro actually don't have any news this morning. Right now, Neuro is at 1285. And this is the kind of chart I actually do like. I'll tell you why. I mean, it reminds me of trading back in the day. So this one, however, we had the push to about 1411 thereabout, actually seems to be like 1420s thereabout. Now we're trading at around 1275. And from what I noticed here, when I look at the today's chart at pre-market, I noticed that it does have pretty much, a good top and also a good base it had prior. So we also have one over here at 12, 14 to 22. One over here at about, actually right flush on the line at 14, right there on the grid. And right over here at 1363. And as we've noticed, we saw this huge surge. We saw this huge sell-off here. Someone, a few people try to bounce it right here, you notice, but eventually they got out. Almost like they got trapped by the bag holders. We're trying to buy up here. You notice the bottom of this wick is longer than the top. So it seems that this was like, oh, it's going to be a pullback for another push. And turns out it wasn't. We had lower. Then we actually popped up, heavy candle right there, came down, have a little support here right around 1330s right there, 1333, give or take. Then we actually, grind up all the way back to the 14s. Then we just went into complete bear mode until we hit about 1277. So for me right now, looking at this, I'm thinking 1277 for key level is the key level. And resistances are probably going to be between about 1330 for any push. We also have another one over here we got to pay attention to as well, because as we moved off this low and went up, we had a huge pullback here for a base. Then we came up, popped up a little bit for a little flag here. Then we actually pushed higher. So this form of support here could cause an issue as well. So we have resistance at 1315. Maybe a little between 1337 and 1360. If we do reclaim that, then we got to watch out for the 14s and also for the high 1420, 422 up here. Now, let's say our key level does break down. If we zoom out a little bit here, we could come down to, take out that low. We do have one low to the extreme here, about 1275, like we said before, which is the key level that we are watching. And if we do take that out, we're going to come back to, I think probably come back to, probably like 1245. That was a recent top. And to the most extreme level, probably end up somewhere between 1225 and most extreme of about 1210. All right. All right. Next one we have here is SEMI, CEMI. The first name is Chembio Diagnostics. And they have pretty interesting news this morning. They said that they launched a commercial distribution of third-party COVID-19 antigen assay. Right? I don't know what that is. Some distribution for their chemical. It looks like a biotech company so far, what I've noticed. Look at our big time frame here. Still the kind of chart I also like is one of those bag holder charts. And for this one, seeing this chart, I'm leaning more towards short, to be honest with you. I mean, I think I've seen enough of these plays a lot to actually have a good idea of, where these things can actually go. So I look at this and I'm thinking, all right, so where's key level going to be? Well, I look at this so far and I'm seeing that key level right now for me is based on this back here. It's over it a little bit. It's about 313. And over 313, we could probably push to the mid threes up here, 355. Another one up here at about 374, 376, give or take. And another one up here at around 378, right? Now, it's looking a little extended to me. Yes, I mean, if this key level does hold into open and then, a little bit into the morning, then yeah, we could actually keep pushing, keep going and keep going and keep going, right? But if we can't hold that up and we seem to be struggling with it at the moment, I think we're going to be a fader on the day. So if we skip over to today's chart, what we're seeing right here is that issue right there, the 313 level that we said would be resistance, which is somewhere right here where it's struggling with the hold, is going to be an issue. Now, if that key level does get taken out, we're going to come back to me. We do have a little base here at 310. We do have another one here right around between 307 and right around 304. As you can tell, I kind of like to get into the details because it gives me a bigger picture of exactly what's really going on, right? To an extent. Maybe I'm incorrect, but just from what I see here. 322 here seems to be the top, and about 323 also. Right, to the most extreme, I think we could probably come back to maybe like 293 if the key level does break down. All right, the next one is WDAY. WDAY, if I remember correctly, is a hotel. Work there, Upwork, I don't remember exactly. There's no liquidity at pre-market, but what interests me though is the fact that when you look at the year-to-date chart, it's actually gapped up and pushing a little bit at the moment. We've noticed that. And also the news was that they actually reported 123 EPS versus consensus of 78 cents. So they actually beat the consensus report. So I'm looking at this so far, and I'm thinking key level right now at the moment is going to be 263.59, and top is going to be around 268.34 and about 269.07. Now, if we do break down that, I think we come back to probably around 262.68. And probably 259.20, and then the bottom is just going to become a guessing game from that. So far the bottom, as I said, it's about 256.65, but I mean on a heavy day that could easily get wiped out, so you never really know, right? We can't really use the pre-market at the moment to really make a justification of anything else. As you notice, it's pretty illiquid, so we just have to go off the year-to-date chart. Let's see how that plays out. And I saved the best for last. Right now is SPRT, and all I've seen so far is no news, and this website called support.com and meme stock is all I see in the actual news. So SPRT, right? So every article I read was talking about meme stock. So I'm like, all right, cool. I guess this has now attracted the attention for Wall Street Bets or maybe another board. I mean, there's so many boards today now where, Wall Street Bets is just a big one, but there's so many different boards now today ever since Wall Street Bets came about, trying to actually repeat the same thing. So maybe it's one of them, right? So looking at this so far, I mean, I'm sure you guys traded this yesterday, and looking at yesterday's chart, I'm seeing that we actually had a top somewhere around 1647 and another one up here at about 7066. And I noticed that we did have one sell-off though off the top to about 1433. Then we actually started a rally. We did a high of day breakout right around the 1647 level. It made a new high again. Like we said before, 1766. Took that out with a little top at around 18 and then made new highs. And then, kept on going through the night and then just rallied straight into. This is the kind of setup, something I would actually look at for an overnight play, because it actually does have the formation, which is actually a breakout over recent highs. There are more highs as well from if you actually, move this up to, let's say, a 1 month chart and zoom out a little bit here. So if we zoom out, see how far I have to go to see it. There, that's one. I know there's more. Let's try a 6 month chart. I did see more highs actually. So give me just a second here. Let me see if I can find it. I use a different chart for screening than I actually use for actually presenting. So I don't really see it here. I'm sure if I scroll all the way back, but there's some support, like some resistance way back actually. But I'll just mention them for you. All right. So looking at today's chart so far and looking at everything we actually observed yesterday, right? Where do we think the possibility of a key level should be? Well, I have key level written down earlier for about 35. And 35 was actually all the way down here, but it seems as if this thing has decided to blow 35 out of the water. So I might have to adjust that, right? So my new key level right now is 45. And the reason I'm selecting 45, by the way, is because right now you notice that we broke out over 45, hit all the way up to about 55, 48, give or take here, about maybe 55, 58. Came down to that 45, 57 level, popped back up to 52 right there. It came down 45 again. So it seems that the 45 is pretty interesting at the moment to the players, right? So 45 is going to be my key level. Now let's assume 45 actually does hold up, right? Where the possibility of where we could go? Well, I think probably based on how the volatility for this one, we could easily pop back to 52, 42, and then probably to a high 55, 67. Now over that, we could start to look at other prior highs to see, where it actually could go. Let's say we break 45 down. I think possibly we come back to maybe like 43.18s. Probably down to 40 and have some more down here at about 37.18 and probably back down to my 35, which I actually had as my previous key level. And there's some back here as well, which has some prior resistance at about 33.89 and some right around, 32.60s. The reason I actually, picked out these levels for where it possibly could go is that you got to kind of observe how the chart actually played out. So, we popped up to this support here, this resistance here at 33.97. We based around, between 30.27 and about, scroll a little bit, there's actual support here, about 30.84, right? Eventually took that out right here. And we formed a decent base. Not really a decent base. Fair enough. Fair enough. It wouldn't be convincing enough for me. But it convinced them enough at about 34.61 to actually break out over the high, which it made before the pullback at 36.78. So that actually is a pretty interesting zone. So that might pose an issue if we actually head to the downside. Same process repeated itself right around here, where we had the pullback at 37.11. And before we had a little high here at 39.76, pulled back, was convincing enough for them to actually keep going. And when I look at this chart, actually, what I see here is how the pullback was actually one red candle, then two green candles, then we just break all the way out. So it seems to me like there's a lot of momentum here and a lot of FOMO actually taking effect as well based on how the chart plays out. And of course, you probably want to, why do you say that, man? Like, how do you know that stuff? Well, it's just like how it actually looks in sense of like seeing this stuff for, many years. We have one pullback, then we actually just took off, another one, and we just took off all the way up, nonstop. We just one, and then just green candles all the way up. It's a lot of FOMO and momentum actually falling through this. So most of the players I would say in this game are mostly probably amateurs, to be honest with you. So you might have sharp sell-offs and sharp spikes. So that's one of the reasons why I also say this for last. So for you guys who are going to be playing this, I know it's the most interesting thing out there right now. I just want to say be very, very cautious because there's a lot of amateurs trading this, right? And they're very impatient. Okay. All right. So that pretty much wraps up all the plays we are looking at for today. Now we'll take any plays that you guys might see outside of the ones that we've mentioned.